3.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Board of Education meeting. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. Once again, we are socially distancing and coming to you via video platform. It was a little over 1 month ago that we last met, but it feels almost like a lifetime ago. The days have blurred into one another with seemingly no difference between the work week and the weekend. Since we last met, this insidious virus has infiltrated every community in every state of our great country. But our region has been particularly hard hit, and our school district has not been immune to the terrible wrath of the coronavirus. We have lost many members of our South Huntington family, including Manuel Pelotza, grandfather of Lizette Pelotza of Countrywood, Gene Kohler, a retired teacher from Memorial and Stinson Middle School, who retired in 2001, Al Scalice, husband of retiree Elaine Scalice, Teresa Giramita, mother of Diane Roman, a TA at Stimson, Mr. John Toten, a health teacher, Robert Bird, retired principal of Countrywood, Anthony Tadaldi, father of Danielle Commander, teacher at Countrywood, Gaetana Ochapinti, mother of Karen Ferraro, Food Service Department, Lucy Zerbelik, mother of Frank Zerbelik, custodian at Silaswood, Teresa Diaz, sister-in-law of Salomon Aguilar, a custodian at Memorial, Thomas Eastwood, brother of Bob Eastwood, custodian at Stinson Middle School, and Frank Brecker, brother-in-law of Steve Atrino, a teacher at Countrywood. I would ask for a moment of silence for these individuals, as well as all those suffering throughout our country from the wrath of the coronavirus. Thank you. The virus has taken much from us. It's made us physically distant from one another when we most need a warm embrace or a shoulder to cry on. But it cannot take away our soul. It cannot take away our compassion. And it cannot take away our innate need to be helpful to others. And even though we may be quarantined at home, or at least 6 feet apart when in public, in some ways, we've never been closer. We've been drawn together by the bravery and devotion of our doctors, nurses, and EMTs, who soldier on despite the risk to themselves and the tragedies that they witness. We've been inspired by endless donations of food and money, and we've been comforted by our teachers and staff who did their best each day to bring some sense of normalcy to their beloved students. We have proved once again that the toughest times bring out the best in all of us. I'm not sure when our school doors will reopen or when they will, but when they do, we know many things will be different. But each of you can rest assured that our love and devotion for our students will never waver. Stay well. And to give a little comfort and a little good news, we're going to play a video for you. We call it our hero montage. It's a tribute to our modern day heroes, and it was put together, and I want to thank everyone who played a role in putting it together.
There are places I will remember all my life, though some have changed, some forever and not for better. Some have gone and some remain. All these places had their moments with lovers and friends. I still can recall. Some are dead and some are living in my life. I love them all. But of all these friends and lovers, there is no one compares with you. And these memories will remain when I think of love as something new. Though I know I'll never lose affection for people and things that went before. I know I'll often stop and think about them. In my life, I love you more. Though I know I'll never lose affection for people and things that went before, I know I'll often stop and think about them. In my life, I love you more.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you for the video, and thank you to all. Thank you for the video, and thank you for all who contributed to it, and thank you to our first responders.
We'll email that home to every district house, Mr. Chabot.
Thank you.
That way, for anyone that doesn't log on tonight, they can get to see the special people on the front lines.
All right, so on to what we do normally, our business agenda. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda? Ms. Carey, seconded by?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Nicholas. Thank you.
Sorry, I had my mute button on, so you wouldn't get the first trip.
All in favor of adopting the agenda?
Aye. Aye.
All opposed? All right, resolution is adopted. Items C through F require one resolution for adoption. They are the minutes, financial items, and a number of bids. Motion to discuss? Ms. Carey, seconded by?
Aye.
Seconded by Mr. Nicholas. All right, we have, as I said, our minutes, financial items, and bids, as well as our bills. Under the bids, we have our claims auditing services, school physician, third-party workers' compensation, our attorneys, and our internal auditing services. Is there any questions from the board on items C through F? All right, I take that as a no. All in favor?
Aye. Aye. Aye.
All opposed? All right, items C through F are adopted. Moving on to our new business. New business item number 1 is a vote on the Western Suffolk BOCES 2020-2021 administrative budget. Is there a motion? Ms. Carey, seconded by?
Aye.
Seconded by Ms. DiGaetano. And this is really our purpose for our meeting today. It is, as you know, we canceled our last meeting because that was supposed to be our budget adoption, but at this point, we don't know what to adopt, so we canceled that meeting. But this is the BOCES vote, this is required by law, and there was no change in this date, so we are going forward. So this vote is to adopt the BOCES budget, the 2021 and 2020, administrative budget for BOCES. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Board votes in favor of adopting the administrative budget. Item number 2 is to fill 3 vacancies on the BOCES Board of Education. Motion to discuss? Ms. Carey, seconded by?
Aye.
Seconded by Mr. Nickowitz. Okay, now we are filling 3 spots for the trustees on the BOCES Board of Education. And they are Ms. Jeanette Santos, Peter Wunsch, and Mr. Jim Caton, our former board Board President. So we're voting for 3, and there's 3 candidates to choose from. So, all in favor of the 3 candidates?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
All right, it passes. Congratulations, Mr. Caden, Ms. Santos, and Mr. Wonders. Moving on to item number 3 is the approval of a contract extension for driver education. Motion to discuss.
Aye.
Ms. Carey, seconded by.
Aye.
Seconded by Mr. Nikowitz. Any, Vito or Joe, any comment on this?
Sure, this is Twin County is the company. The high school is very happy with this company and is looking for us to please continue the service with them.
Okay. And this is for next year, 2020, 2021?
That is correct.
Okay. Board have any questions? All in favor? Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Alright, new business item number 3 is approved. Moving on to new business item number 4 are the assessor accountability for 2020-2021 for the 6th grade center, Silaswood, and Stimson Middle School. Motion to discuss. Ms. Carey, seconded by.
Aye.
Seconded by Mr. Nikowitz. Dr. Bernardo?
Absolutely. Each of those 2 buildings requires an accountability report. As you remember, we discussed earlier about participation rates. Whenever a district has a certain amount of opt-out or a certain participation rate issue, the district is required to fill out a report as to things they did and why. And this is simply our report on how we're proceed, how we communicate with our parents first regarding these 3rd grade tests, in this case 6th to 8th. And it's basically a routine report.
Does the board have any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carries. Item number 5 is the approval of a copier replacement plan. Motion to discuss. Ms. Carey, seconded by. Seconded by Ms. DiGatano.
Damn, sure.
Dr. Vito.
Rebound.
We were looking to replace 11 copiers, and working with Sheila Busey, our purchasing agent, we've come up with the idea, instead of leasing, we'd like to purchase, because if purchasing through Western Suffolk BOCES does provide us with a significant savings, and so we'd like to go down that route, moving forward with our copiers.
Didn't we do one of these last year as well?
Yeah, we have a rotation.
Good. Does the board have any questions on the copier replacement plan? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Alright, resolution 5 is adopted. Item number 6 is the approval of Ready Classroom Mathematics. Motion to discuss.
Aye.
Ms. Carey, seconded by.
Aye.
Seconded by Mr. Nikowitz. Dr. Sedamore.
Yes, thank you. So under the leadership of our math supervisor for the district, among other things, the supervisor, Dr. Matt Murphy, the elementary level, a large number of teachers, the administration, they participated in an extensive review and pilot of the math program, looking at our current math program and piloting potential new programs, and a very extensive review. And ultimately, the math committee that had been assembled upon reviewing everything and the feedback from the pilot made a recommendation for a program called Ready Classroom Mathematics, and the Curriculum Council had an opportunity to vet this recommendation, and then we bring it before the board tonight, recommending that it be adopted by the board.
Okay. Ms. Carey, the Curriculum Council is satisfied?
Yes, it's a great presentation. Staff liked it.
Good. Does the board have any questions for Dr. Sedamore on Math Ready? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Moving on to item number 7 is authorization to sign contract. Motion to discuss. Ms. Carey, seconded by. Is there a second?
Aye.
Seconded by Mr. Nicolitz and Ms. DiGatano. This is for an agreement for the school district to sign with Johnson Controls for the energy performance contract. The matter is still being reviewed by our legal counsel, so the contract is not ready to sign, but we wanted to get this on the agenda to give authorization to sign when it becomes ready, because we want to move forward with the energy performance contract in an expeditious manner. And as we'll talk about a little later, our meeting schedule will be a little bit in flux for the months to come. We're not sure when we'll meet again, so this will give us the opportunity to sign it as soon as it's ready. If the board recalls, the last time we met in person, sometime in March, you saw a presentation from Johnson Controls on the energy performance contract, which was largely dealing with some boiler replacements and solar panel canopies throughout the district.
I apologize for the late entry onto the agenda to the Board of Education, in that when we looked at the schedule and we found out that the attorneys didn't have the contract ready, the uncertainty of our schedule certainly just made me request the board president to put this on about 15 minutes ago. So I do apologize, but just thought it was important that since you've already seen the presentation, they'll at least have the latitude to sign if and when that does come in.
And is this something that can go forward regardless of what happens with the budget? Is this capital work that could continue or no?
I have to check if an energy performance gets, if it's energy performance, I've never done an energy performance with simultaneously. I was only on a stereo once in my career, so I would actually have to check that.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Okay. Does the board have any questions on this item? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, resolution is adopted. I thank you for that approval in advance, and just so the public knows, as we've discussed, this is cost neutral. It's the beauty of the energy performance contract is that it results in a dollar for dollar savings back to the district. Item number 8, recommendations for placement of students by the Committee on Special Education, dates listed in February, March, and April, and the Committee on Preschool Special Education, dates listed February and March. Motion to discuss. Ms. Carey, seconded by?
Aye.
Seconded by Mr. Nicolitz. Any questions on the placements? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Alright, resolution is adopted. Next item is personnel. We have personnel schedule 6, 9, 11, 15, 16, and 22. Motion to discuss? Ms. Carey, seconded by?
Aye.
Seconded by Mr. Nicolitz, and I think I heard Mr. Joyner.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Information and reports are listed. Future meeting dates, which are quite tentative, we're next scheduled to meet May 12th and May 19th. May 19th, which was originally supposed to be the budget vote, and May 12th was keyed into being the public hearing of the budget, so those dates are very much tentative. Speaking of those budget dates, we know that there's a lot of questions out there on school board elections and the budget. We have questions ourselves. Unfortunately, at this point, we do not have any answers. These are decisions that are going to be a little above our pay grade, the decisions that are going to come out of the state, specifically the governor. So we wait each day for additional information. We do know that budget vote is not happening on May 19th. We don't know exactly when it will happen, except it will not happen any earlier than June 1st. We also do not know the method by which it will take place, whether it will be vote by mail or vote in person. We've taken some positions on that. We feel that we don't necessarily want it to be a mail-in only, or we want to make sure that it's fair and and it's safe for everybody to participate. So we await those decisions. We also await.
Dick, I'm having trouble hearing you on this one, buddy.
Oh, sorry. Is that better?
And I'm interested, so
What's that?
I'm interested to hear what you're saying.
Okay,
I can't hear you.
Sorry, let me go back a little bit. We were talking about board elections and the budget vote, and unfortunately, we don't have a lot of information yet. We have more questions than we have answers at this point. Each day we check to see what information is out there, and we await the governor's announcement. We've heard for many days now that something is imminent. It hasn't come out yet, though. A lot of elections have been canceled. We saw that the primaries were canceled. We saw special elections were canceled. Our normal budget vote is on May 19th this year, third Tuesday in May. We do know it will not take place on that date, and we know it will happen no earlier than June. Of course, normally under the law, there has to be a public hearing before the budget can be voted on. We don't know whether that will be suspended. The governor has a lot of power to suspend virtually all the laws under his executive orders. So we're in a lot of flux right now. It's things that obviously people are very concerned about, but there's a lot of decisions that have to be made. So that's one thing that we're anxious about. We're also anxious about our budget numbers and our revenue. Already we've...
I thought I heard you talking about mail-in voting before we did that topic.
Yeah, that's one possibility, that it could be mail-in. We don't know what they're exactly going to do yet. We don't know if there'll be in-person voting at all, or in-person voting and mail-in voting. It could be just all mail-in where everybody gets an absentee ballot. So we don't know what the outcome of that would be on our election. It's kind of unprecedented. We have discussed a proposal. Nassau Suffolk School Board did discuss a proposal and put something out that they were in favor of having the Board of Education, if it was a tax cap compliant budget, and just by a majority of the Board of Education voting in favor of the budget, then there wouldn't actually be a budget vote this year. There would only be a budget vote if a Board of Education was exceeding the tax cap. So that's one proposal that's been talked about. It was recommended by the Nassau Suffolk School Boards Association. Doesn't seem to have gotten much traction right now. At the moment, it seems like there's going to be at least some notice, whether a card or everyone will have the opportunity to vote by absentee ballot. That seems the way that they're going, but really we're kind of just guessing at the moment.
Is that an issue that we decide individually as board?
No, this will be decided for us.
By the state?
Yes. Yeah, we're expecting it to come out. As I said,
The state decides whether or not we can use a mail-in ballot.
Correct. Normally on absentee ballots, the only people that are automatically mailed the absentee ballots are the permanently disabled. But then somebody can request an absentee ballot based on if they're going to be out of the state or another valid reason. That's normal, so it's normally limited if you can get an absentee ballot. That probably will be waived this year, and an absentee ballot will be available probably to anyone who wants it. The question is whether we have to mail an absentee ballot to every single district voter registered with the Board of Elections or every single district resident. So there's a lot of questions out there that we don't have answers to. That will depend how the election is conducted and, quite frankly, how much money we're going to spend. That would be a very expensive proposition for us to send an absentee ballot application to every single district resident. So we're kind of in a holding pattern. We expect something any day, and then we don't know also with what happens to board elections because they suspended the petition election as well. So we don't know whether that will pick up or not. There was some talk that people that were up for re-election this year would just be extended for another year. Haven't heard any more on that. So kind of where we are right now. And equally concerning are the budget numbers. We already received a cut from what we were expecting. Normally, the governor's executive budget proposal constitutes the floor, and then the Assembly and the Senate increase it from there. This year, we not only didn't get the increase, we didn't get the governor's increase, and we kind of went back to last year. And we also faced the prospect of 3 additional budget cuts. The state budget director has unprecedented power this year to reevaluate revenues and expenditures 3 times from now until the end of the year 2020, and one of those evaluation cycles ends on April 30th. So we could be expecting a further cut. In fact, the cuts that are proposed could be draconian. We've heard they could be anywhere up to 20% of state aid. So based on that, Dr. Bernardo, myself, and Dennis Callahan, our union president, our teachers, penned a letter to our federal officials asking them to take this into account in any decisions that they make, and hoping that some of the state revenues that are lost will be backfilled. So that's kind of the update on our financial situation. Some good news, I want to thank and recognize one of our own health teacher, Candace Farrell, who was on News 12, Fox 5, the subject of the Fox 5 segment. Ms. Farrell graciously donated her RV to a nurse that was in need of a place, who didn't want to have to put her family at risk. And this is just one of these beautiful acts of kindness that we talked about earlier today, that we're seeing throughout our country, but that we always know exists in South Huntington because we have such a special community. And another very special event that took place just a few days ago, I want to turn it over to Ms. Carey to mention that.
Thank you. There are so many wonderful things in our South Huntington district, but the characteristic that truly sets us apart is the relationship that exists between our students and their teachers and staff. The affection and deep level of care is so real, and that incredible connection was on full display last Friday as over 100 high school staff members saluted the class of 2020 in a heartwarming motorcade parade. There was not a dry eye in the house as parents, staff, and students reconnected to relive what they had been missing. What made it even more special was how our local news media channels were able to document this wonderful event and show how important and special Walt Whitman High School is to our community. Although we hope we will be able to say goodbye to our seniors in person this year, the event did allow us to have a glimpse of some normalcy during this time. I believe the news clip that you will see in this window will show that very special soul of our learning community.
Months of their high school education have been
When you're ready.
upended by this pandemic. But the staff at Walt Whitman High School are making sure the class of 2020 has some truly memorable moments to look back on. News 12's Virginia Huey explains. At Walt Whitman High School, neither the coronavirus nor the damp weather could rain on this parade. Let's go Whitman! Whitman Star! It's an appreciation parade for the school's 2020 senior class. Cars decked out with balloons and posters line the horseshoe driveway as more than 100 teachers cheered for the seniors, whose high school experience abruptly came to a close.
Nothing can beat the classroom atmosphere itself. That's probably the one thing that we miss the most and we're probably not going to get back.
Teachers and students haven't seen each other in person for 6 weeks.
We're on virtual, but it's just not the same. I mean, they're like our friends, they're like our kids.
I love them, and I'm going to miss them terribly, and I feel so bad that they're missing so much of their senior year.
The senior prom, awards, and graduation ceremonies all stolen by the pandemic.
It's important that they remember this as a good time and not something that was plagued by this terrible virus.
At least for the day, the disappointments were left in the rearview mirror. Teachers greeted students with big smiles and messages of encouragement.
I hope the students come away from this knowing that they are just fully capable of doing anything and conquering anything, because if they can make it through this, they can make it through anything.
Although this is not how they envision their senior year, students say they are looking forward to better days ahead.
I definitely learned to have, strength and resilience. Just make sure you don't take things for granted in life, because you never know what's going to be taken away from you in the snap of a finger.
COVID-19 took away so many senior year traditions, but this show of support is one memory they'll cherish forever.
We have the best high school, we do, because there's so many teachers that care and love for us, and they miss us just as much as we miss them.
Virginia Huey, News 12, Long Island.
Beautiful. Okay. It's been a tough year for our seniors. Nobody wants to finish this way, but that's a beautiful moment. other great things happening at the high school. I want to have another positive note. We got excellent news from U.S. News and World Reports that Walt Whitman High School is ranked 16 out of all the high schools in Suffolk County by U.S. News and World Reports. Once again, 16th in Suffolk County by U.S. News and World Reports, and by that same publication, out of the 1,200 high schools in New York State, we ranked 201. So apparently this is our high water mark in South Huntington, and it's something that we're very proud of. We've felt it, we've felt that work, that energy, commitment by so many over the years, and it's nice that the numbers show that. Other comments by board members? Voice of the residents? Ms. McLean, any comments?
I do not.
There are no comments, so we're gonna take a motion to adjourn. Normally we know when we'll see you again, but we don't at this point. And I think the words of our high school senior who talked about not taking things for granted really ring true during this time. There's so many things that normally we take for granted that have been taken away from us, and hopefully when we get them back, we don't take them for granted. I wish everyone well continued health during this time. Take a motion to adjourn. Ms. Carey, seconded by.
Aye.
Seconded by Ms. DiGatano and Mr. Nikowitz. All in favor of the motion to adjourn?
Aye. Aye.
Thank you all.
All opposed? All right. Thank you all.
Thank you all for being here.
Be well.